So you want to fly, do you? Your hard-earned tax dollars at work. Check this out. This is a state-of-the-art G5 jetliner. They are sweet. So sweet, in fact, the House wants to buy 8 of them to fly lawmakers around the world.
Oh, of course they do.
In fact, they've set aside $550 million in the latest Pentagon spending bill for such purchase. Nice-looking aircraft. Defense Secretary Robert Gates is raising a red flag, and so are we. Steve Ellis with Taxpayers for Common Sense, my guest out of D.C. Good morning, Steve, on a Monday. I kind of know where you're coming from on this. Let me take the other side of it, okay? We'll give the lawmakers the benefit of the doubt, and I'll get you to respond here. Well, Congress is saying that they need the new extra jets in the long run. You know, their aging fleet just can't get around like they used to. And these new, brand new, spanking new G5 jets will, in the long run, actually save money, be it maintenance fees or a new aircraft, more fuel efficient. What would you say to that, Steve?
Well, I mean, the thing is that what I'd heard is it costs about $3,000 an hour to operate the Gulfstream jets and the new ones, and it costs about $6,000 an hour to operate the old ones, somewhere in that vicinity. Well, the thing is, it would take a few years of flying that jet constantly, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, to actually pay off those savings.
Well, I mean, so essentially,
and obviously it's not going to happen.
Just have it on standby out there at National Airport there in D.C. You can pick it up anytime you want. Idling free on the runway. Listen, here, the House trimmed the White House request for the Pentagon budget, by the way. Were you aware of that?
Originally, it was about $3 billion.
It was about $4 billion. $640 billion was the original cost. They trimmed it down to $636 billion. I mean, would you give them the benefit of the doubt on that?
Well, I mean, they essentially, reshuffled some things. I mean, they put some big cuts in other areas, and so that they could get these extra Gulfstreams, also some of the extra C-40s, the 737s. That's the total 8. There's 5 of the C-4, the 737s, 3 of the Gulfstreams. But then they also added in all sorts of other weapon systems that help them in their bottom line, and so and help them with their re-elections and raise campaign funds.
They're always campaigning. All right, okay, I mean, you're doing well so far. What about strengthening relations with foreign leaders? And many of them are on those trips right now, giving a first-hand look at how U.S. money is being spent overseas. And we know how much money we're spending overseas, Steve. And this gives them a chance to speak directly with commanders on the battlefield and to troops in action. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they can just do it with their existing planes. I mean, there's plenty of Americans around the country that are putting off vacations or other big purchases, unless maybe you're eligible for cash for clunkers. And so essentially making do with less, and so Congress could actually show some shared sacrifice instead of getting a couple sweet new jets for them to fly around in.
Remember when lawmakers last fall were banging on all those CEOs for taking their private planes to Washington to attend hearings that the members of Congress made them attend?
And justifiably bashing on them, and that's the reason why it's justifiable that Congress is getting beaten up a bit on getting some new sweet jets to fly around on and spending $130 million.
Ultimately, you think there's got any chance of going through when they come back from recess? Because a couple of these senators are saying this is nuts.
I think that essentially now the Senate has gotten wind of it, that this is going to become political kryptonite for them to try to push through these extra jets.
Political kryptonite. Well stated. You ever been on a G5, by the way?
I have not.
It's like taking the nicest TV room you can imagine and putting it at 35,000 feet. It's glorious.
So Bill, I assume that you have.
I have. I've had the honor. But I mean, we paid for it, but it was, yes, it was beautiful. Thank you, Steve.
We all had something to...
I guess we'll just stick with the old clunker air jets for now.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thanks,
See you
soon. Okay.
I love the justification. It has to, it has to be newer and nicer because it'll break down less.
Oh,
if
yeah.
only I had spoken to Congress before when I was 17 and my mom took me to the used car lot to get my very first car, which wound up being a Subaru, which I loved.
Right.
And just told her what I really need is a state-of-the-art Mercedes. It'll break down less.
You got to replace the aging fleet of planes that are more expensive to operate and maintain.
Right. Come on. I needed their advice in talking to Mom.
How do you book a ticket on a G5, by the way?
I have no idea. I've never been on a private plane. What do I know? I go Southwest.